Back again with another episode of Hell No Podcast. I'm Nas. That's Amir. I'm the father. He's the son. Big weekend. UFC. Banger.
Yep.
Except the main card.
Yep.
Well, not the card, the main event.
Main event. Unbelievable. Let's start with the fight before. Patty, BSD. That one was quick. Wasn't as quick as Conor and Max, but it was fast. Patty showed that he is the real deal, I'd say. I mean, the whole game plan, I feel like, for BSD should have been to stand him up, and he tries to shoot a takedown, and it was over from there. What did you see?
Well, I think he underestimated Patty's ground game, his jiu-jitsu. I think everybody does. He walks around like he's just goofy athlete, but he's superior wrestler. I mean, his jiu-jitsu is pretty much up there with anybody in the world, and he's been telling people this for a while. It's just, they don't believe it until they get in the ring with him. But yeah, I mean, BSD should have just stayed up, should have threw his hands, and even then, I think he wasn't gonna beat Patty.
No.
I think he wasn't gonna beat Patty no matter what route he took. It was just Patty was just ready to kind of come of age, and I think he kind of showed that, and he proved it fairly quickly, which was very, very impressive. So,
yep.
Good for him.
Agreed. The main event. Conor's back. Conor's doing his walkout. The Foggy Dew is playing. The Ireland flag is everywhere. And you see Conor for about a minute. And, I mean, a flying roundhouse to come back, your first move, 5 years. Last time you were in the ring, you broke your leg. And it was just done right there. I mean, Max showed him mercy. Max spared him by not just wailing on him. He knew he got hurt. He was telling the ref 3 different times, hey, he's hurt. And Conor said, keep fighting. And Conor got up and tried to hop and done. Out.
There's no substitute for being active. I mean, regardless, Conor was just living on the aura of past Conor. And even past Conor proved that he wasn't up to par with the top guys in the division. I mean, the last time we saw him, he was getting ragdolled. So it's not like he's relevant enough. He's been a drunk for 5 years. He's been selling whiskey. He's been inactive. The main thing with this is Conor has 2 fights left on his contract. Now he has 1.
Yep.
So the UFC had to milk the cash cow as much as they possibly can. And the return of Conor, obviously, there wasn't a single room left in Vegas, and that's the Conor effect. And they still think they're living off of that. But I think people are going to learn now that you can't really go ahead and double down with your money on Conor because you're getting someone that's a shell of himself, and that's really not what people want to see. One more fight is left, and I think the UFC is going to obviously try to make that fight to milk it, and I think it's going to be Chandler. That fight has been in the works for the years. It never materialized. And I think they're just going to throw Chandler out there and throw Conor out there and try to milk that cow one more time.
Battle of the washed guys.
That's
the
it.
Guys who need to just be done.
Well, I mean, Conor's still a draw. Obviously, he showed it. But now I think people realize that you're not getting the same quality of a fighter as once was Conor dominating the division. And Conor could show up
that's
and
a given.
Yeah, and same thing with Chandler. Chandler is a shell of himself too.
Done. So what's next for Max?
Max has options. I mean, Max can go back to Justin. He can go back to Charles. I mean, these are guys that both beat him.
Yep.
Charles dominated him on the ground, so he has to come up with a different game plan. Can't allow Charles to just lay on you and dominate you, and Charles doesn't want to throw fists with him because he's outnumbered on the feet.
But Justin is the champ, and Max
Justin
Justin.
Justin is the champ, and Justin will take a fight, and so will Max. And I think they got to make that dance one more time. I think that's only right to kind of make it right by Justin and by Max, and I think that's the fight to make. So
what's next for Patty?
Ooh, Patty.
I think
Patty's
he
in
gets
that.
Ilya.
Man, Ilya's gonna have a couple of tune-up fights. I don't see Ilya just jumping back in. I think Ilya's gonna come back. I think he's gonna need one or two fights just to kind of get the Ilya aura back up to where he wants it to be. I don't think you just kind of just jump back in and say, I want Patty. And I think, Patty, now there's pretty much a blueprint on the table on how to beat Ilya. Not everybody's going to be Justin Gaethje, but there is a blueprint, and there's something to be said about getting beat and getting beat handedly by somebody that you were supposed to, retire, according to his words.
Yeah. So we'll see what the UFC makes of that. Pretty good card. I mean, there was some pretty good fights before the main event. We saw Lennox Kavanaugh get beat.
That was a surprise to me. I thought
I
Lenore
agree.
would kind of, but look, Royval his fights are always fun.
Yeah.
His fights are always competitive. He always gives you your money's worth. So I didn't expect Kavanaugh to run through him. I expected him to beat him, but like I said, Royval doesn't quit. I mean, he went toe to toe with Joshua Van. So, that's the champ. But that was a great fight. I mean, that was one of the best fighters of the night.
Yep.
Besides, I think we saw the Mario Batista, Corey Sandhagen. That was also a good back and forth fight. Sandhagen beat him, when he took the fight the first time around on short notice, but that was a young Batista. He's a different fighter now. And he showed it yesterday. I mean, he came to squabble and he beat him on the ground and he beat him on the feet.
Yep.
So
and
that
we
goes a long
saw
ways.
King Green and T-Rex McKinney earlier. That would have, I think the refs should have just let it go to the second round. But, I mean, there was beef behind that fight. They obviously squashed it. They were out partying that night with each other. It might have been fixed. I don't know. It looked real fishy.
Smells like fish.
Yeah.
Tastes like fish. Must be fish.
Yeah.
I mean, I just, you know what? He's dominating, King Green. Like, I mean, to the point where he almost had the fight stop.
Yeah.
And he decides he wants to try to choke him and sit down and, have Green just punching him, calling him you little bitch and, wailing at him instead of just standing back up.
Yep.
You were piecing him up on your feet. Like, you busted him up and opened him up. Stand him back up and just go to town.
And then Green looks like he barely grazes his liver. He drops. And
He didn't even touch him. He went down
Yeah.
with a fight, that a phantom punch. Like, you know what? And then to like have him almost finish the round with 2 seconds left. Like, there's something to be said about the market and the bettors playing, not this to get out of round one and the money to be on King Green.
Yeah.
And when it's fishy, it's fishy. And damn, that was fishy.
Yeah.
I didn't like that. I didn't like that at all.
I agree. That's our recap of the UFC card. We can take
One
this.
more thing. I'm anxious to see the heavyweight division with Gable Stevenson.
I agree.
I think he he came up, he had a big hype behind him, and
He looked good.
he looks real good. I would love to see him match up against Josh Hokett
I agree.
and kind of give Hokett some taste of his medicine.
Yeah, I agree.
So I think that was a good show for him to come out and kind of prove to UFC fans that he can sit here and squabble with him.
He looks like he's been coached by John Jones. I mean, he's got some things he has to sharpen, but this is his first UFC fight, so
Look
see
good.
What's in
So,
store
yeah.
for Gable Stevenson?
So that was a good card.
Agreed. Good card. Let's move it to the NBA. Your team, the Miami Heat, little bit of controversy this weekend. Bam Adebayo giving Tyler Hero some UFC.
He should have been on the UFC card.
should
It
have
was in
been on the
Vegas.
card.
He should have just said, Dana, hey,
I mean,
put me and Tyler
He
in the
threw more
prelims.
strikes than Conor McGregor did.
He did. And he landed more.
And he landed more.
So, Bam had to tell Tyler, you know what? Even though he didn't name him in some very bad comments about, Bam, Bam wasn't gonna let that slide, and he saw him, and it was on site when he saw him, so he gave him a little shiner. You know what I mean?
I mean, nothing more than that. That's a guy who was under Udonis Haslam's wing, and the Heat view as their next Udonis Haslam. So you can tell that Heat culture is still alive.
Bam's got to let the new guys know, hey, if you need somebody, I got
Yeah,
your back. So
100%.
Bam handled his business. You know, Tyler's not about that life anyway. So he needed somebody to check him, and I think he kind of misspoke and kind of got ahead of himself, and Bam checked him as
Yep.
he's supposed to.
Yep.
You know,
We
somewhere
saw.
somehow I think somebody is ringing Udonis's phone number, going, "That's how we do it."
Yeah.
Yeah. So
I we saw AJ DeBonta and Darren Peterson match up against each other right after we saw Darius Acuff and Keaton Wagler match up against each other. What have you made of the top picks in this draft so far through the summer league?
impressive.
Agreed.
I think we mocked Darren Peterson number one in
We
our
did.
mock.
He looks like he looks like number one.
And he looks number one. I mean,
Not that AJ doesn't.
nothing against AJ, but I think to come out in your summer league, your first two games, you put up 28, 25. That's pretty impressive. The other guy we had mocked two at 3, we said he could have either gone 1 and 2 in somebody else's organization if it was the right scenario.
Caleb Wilson.
He came
Dog.
out and he
looks
did
phenomenal.
his thing.
Oh, I think we both high on him, but I think he's gonna be so good. That dude, I mean, the most points ever in a summer league game in his debut. Ah, man, he just looks like he got 7 of 11 from 3. I think I read something. He didn't even take like 10 threes last year.
No. Mm-mm. You know what? I think we said it in the mock. I think 10 years from now, I don't think anybody's gonna argue 1, 2, 3, 4
Yep.
between Cam Boozer, Caleb, AJ, and Darren. I think they're all gonna be successful in their own right. I think they're all gonna be an asset to the organization. I just happen to think that, Peterson has the higher upside. I mean, just because he can do more. But AJ has got a well-rounded game for the NBA, and his body is an NBA body. So is Caleb Wilson. Golly, that guy's a freak. And Cam's just has the pedigree. He's gonna do everything right, Mr.
He's a winner.
Fundamental. So
Yep.
I think all 4 of them, will go down as I could have been the number 1 pick type guy.
Yep.
And I don't think anybody would argue with that 10 years from now. So
Yeah.
we'll have to wait and see. But they're all off to a great start, and which is good for the NBA. It's good for their draft position. But I think Peterson has a little chip on his shoulder
He does.
about not going number 1.
I think so does Caleb Wilson.
That's going to take him a long way. Yeah, Caleb does. So, it's something about putting 2 people thinking who you're going to have 1 and 2, 1 and 2, 1 and 2. And sometimes you forget about the third guy who's actually probably better than both of them, or going to end up being better than both of them, down the road. That remains to be seen. But he's going to have something to say about it. That's for sure.
Agreed.
So, but yeah, that's enough for the summer league. We'll just have to wait and let it finish out. We had some World Cup action. I don't know if you guys have been keeping up with it, but we had some controversy with the Argentina-Egypt game. There's been a lot of back and forth about the calls that weren't called and the calls that were called for Messi and Argentina.
They were bad.
Kind of slighted towards Argentina, and now everywhere you read, there's a big conspiracy about how FIFA wants Argentina and their golden boy Messi to
come out on top. I do, in my opinion, the calls for Argentina were bad in the Egypt game. Like, if you're a normal person who's like unbiasedly watching the game, you could definitely look at that game and be like, wow, this looks rigged. Is it not? I don't know. But I will say They looked like there was an edge to Argentina, although Egypt had a prime opportunity to win that game, and they didn't. And it was when Omar Mamouche has the ball and like a 3v1, steals it off of Mo Salah's feet, and just loses it. Dribbles right into the man instead of passing either to his right, his left, or just leaving it with the golden boy of Egypt. That's where I think they lost the game. The calls were just poured on top of acid to the fire, lighter fluid to the fire.
I mean, that was a pivotal point. Yes, you can agree that that was a pivotal point in the action. But golly, just to have the discrepancy in yellow cards that have been thrown towards Egypt's way, and even the red cards towards the coach. One of the coaching staffs got a red card. Um, just the fouls that you're gonna call for one team should be for another team. The biggest one, obviously, they took away one of the best goals of the World Cup.
Yeah.
I mean, you don't call a foul from 100 yards away.
Yeah.
After the guy, first of all, the ref didn't call it a foul. So VAR should not even get involved, especially when they've had multiple opportunities to take the ball away from them. And they proceeded to go the length of the field. They went through 4 or 5 defenders, passed the ball multiple times to the lead guy, and that goal had no effect about what happened back there. And then they want to nullify it through VAR, which is absolute garbage because we were deprived of one of the most fabulous goals in a World Cup that you'll ever see between, a guy that was on one end of the field to the other end of the field, and multiple guys were involved.
Yep.
Sad.
And the aftermath of that was, of course, Egypt eliminated. Argentina went on to play Switzerland, whom they just beat 3-1. Another game where the other team, Switzerland, had to play 10 men. Although, in my opinion, not Argentina's fault. That was just stupid. That was a genuine mistake by the Swiss.
It was a flop.
It was a flop. It 100%
soccer flop.
Was. Yeah, they ended up losing 3-1. On the other side of things, we saw Norway and Erling Haaland go down.
What a disappointing.
Very disappointing for who I think had been the best player in the entire tournament up until that point, Erling Haaland. I think you can't do that. If you can't sub off after full time if you're him with all of extra time left. That is something you, as the pinnacle of your team, the absolute best player, the superstar, cannot do. Messi would never do that. Mbappe would never do that. Ronaldo, when Ronaldo was his age, would never do that. These are you want to be one of the all-time greats. You're a player worth $250 million. You cannot let your team finish the game without you because you are tired. You're a threat just being on the field. I had an issue with that. What do you think?
He's not only one of the best players in the World Cup, he's one of the best top strikers in the world.
He is the
Period.
best striker in the world.
So, I mean, for him to kind of just... Now, there was an injury, they say, that was part of his game.
No.
You'd have to cut my leg off to bring me off the pitch in a World Cup game, in a position where your country has never reached this position before. The game is knotted up. You have the opportunity just to be a presence and stand in the box and possibly get a header. And you are one of the biggest guys on the field, if not the biggest guy on the field. When it comes to matching up against the guys, if you do have a set piece or a corner that you can take. And I think that was very disappointing for him and his country, for him to remove himself from that equation at a most crucial time when your country needed you most. I think that was a bad move. It's just a bad look for him. And honestly, he's such a good guy. He doesn't deserve it, but it is a bad look. You know what? Even if you are hurting, you have to kind of find a way to push through it, for at least 5-10 minutes, just to get through. And your team needed you most there, and you weren't there.
Yep, so, I agree.
Very disappointing.
Norway ended up going down. We now will see France and Spain, which might be game of the tournament. And we will see England and Argentina. If I were to predict right now, I couldn't tell you. I have no clue. I'm going to guess and say we see Argentina beat England and probably France beat Spain, even though I really, really, really want to see Spain in the final. I think we're going to see that, but I think France win. France have looked dominant since the first game of the group stage, and they haven't slowed down at all. They had a second team on the bench that could probably have made it to the semifinals as well. They're so deep. Which another thing, going back to the Norway thing, I think a reason Norway lost was, you alluded to this as we watched the game, they didn't have the subs that England had.
Oh.
England could bring on more guys that are just obviously more skilled that Norway just didn't have. But
it was obvious. You could watch the game and it was evident that, you know what, the subs that England made were definitely better and fresher and more ready for the occasion. And they just didn't have the horses to match up with them. Right. At all. They just didn't have it. One or two guys is not going to make the difference. These guys are bringing guys off the bench that are stars for their club teams.
Yep.
So, you don't match up that way and expect it. You can only take it so far before you break. And eventually the dam broke. And, it just, the avalanche of, the effects of just wear and tear. Their guys were just dropping. They were dropping. They were dehydrated. They needed to be stretched out. They needed to be removed from the pitch. So they just didn't have the personnel to keep up with them. And that's the problem you face when you're not a top, World Cup team and you got to go up against guys that are stacked. These teams are stacked. You're talking about France, Spain, England. These teams have every single person. The guys on the bench can play against some of these teams in the World Cup and beat them. I'm just sad that we're not getting France, Spain as the final game.
I agree.
Because that's just a heavyweight matchup, and I think that's going to be a great, great game. I think that's going to be the best game we see between these two semis. So that's what I'm looking forward to.
Agreed. 100%.
That's about it.
Yeah.
I think we covered it all. Next week is probably going to get us going into what the Saints schedule looks like going forward, and then can't wait to get into the football season. And
100%.
I think you said something about starting to do the rankings as far as positional players.
Weekly we'll do our top 10 rankings for each position in the NFL. After that we'll start to get into our analysis of fantasy football, and then soon we'll do a Saints schedule prediction and be back as soon as the Saints get rolling with all things Saints.
If you want to win your fantasy league, tune in.
Yep.
Coming from the champ.
All right. So that'll be it for us today. Got to do this one in person.
Yep.
And we will see y'all next time.
Later. Peace.